Okay, I think we're live. Still trying to navigate the system. Hello and welcome. Trying to find my chat here so I can say hello to you people. Welcome to our super duper duper super awesome lesson today. I love listening lessons, and that's what we are doing. So welcome. I'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you for hanging out in the chat. Let's see. Who am I saying hi to? Lolly, SDB, Balaj, Sweta. Today we are going to have a really cool lesson about listening for main ideas. Ta-da! Listening for main ideas. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone. Molly, Juniho, Jasira, Adita, Josue. Sorry if I am mispronouncing everyone's names. I'm sure I am because it happens. I hope you guys are doing well. If you're just joining us, please write down what is your name and where are you joining us from, because it's so fun for everyone to see where everyone else is from. Even if you are doing this later, if you're watching it at a later time, please also introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and become part of our global community of students, which we love. Wes is in the chat, so if you're wondering who's writing what's going on, it's him. So today, like I mentioned before, I have a really cool lesson, and I think listening lessons they can be a little bit challenging, but they're one of the best ways to improve your English, because you don't have visual cues to help you, which makes it harder, which is good. It challenges you, it makes things more difficult. So we've established listening is super important, but why is the main idea important? What about the main idea? Why should we be even worrying about this thing? Well, let me tell you. First of all, you can't get anywhere without, in general, without figuring out the main idea. And this is something that they teach us in school. This is something that we are faced with over and over and over again all the time. We have to extrapolate the main idea out of something. We hear news reports, we hear something on TV, we want to explain the plot of a movie, music, school, at work. We always have to mention what the main idea is, and we have to do this. And I will tell you this, as an English teacher, even working with adults, over the years, I have seen so many students get the main idea either wrong or just go on forever. And it's actually not a lot of people get it right, even though it is important and we work with these every day. So please pay attention and keep practicing, because it's such a useful skill. The main idea also gives us the ability to understand something. So when you are able to convey the main idea in one sentence, which is usually how long it takes, it doesn't take more than that, that means you've understood whatever it is that you're talking about, the lecture, the conversation, the discussion. And when you're able to understand something, that's a way for you to check yourself. So the main idea, it is uber important. I can't describe how important it is, and we're going to practice it today. Okay, wonderful. So there we go. Dip. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Just trying to learn the system. Sorry about that. Okay. How do we figure it out, right? How can we identify it? I think the first thing you should do is ask yourself, what is the topic? What is this about? What am I hearing about? What am I looking at here? What am I trying to deal with? What is it that the topic is? And usually the topic is like one word, and it's, what is this related to? What is being said about this person, thing, or idea? That is the second part of identifying the main idea. So first of all, what is the topic, and then what is it that it's said? Usually a main idea of something will not just be like, I don't know, flowers. It will say something about flowers. It will say, you know, flowers are beautiful. I don't know. But there's usually a statement that goes with it. I keep trying to think of the main ideas that are in this practice. So I'm trying not to give you guys any hints. But there's usually something being said, and that's the important part. And of course, something that will help you, that should help you even today in our practice, is there any information being repeated? Meaning, do you hear something more than once? Because if you do, that should give you a big clue that that is the main idea. Many times, naturally, we want to emphasize what is important, so we say it more than once. Whether it's a news report, like I said, or if it's a lecture that you go to university and the professor's saying it, if he's saying it more than once, you should pay attention, okay? If the information is being repeated, it's a good clue. Now, like I said before, main ideas are there, you know, that they can be a little bit challenging, which is why I'm going to do this practice. We have a few different texts today. And what we're going to do is I have a few different practices. I'm going to read to you kind of a news report, and I want you to extrapolate the main idea. Now, I will read each report twice. And for the first one, there's no text on the screen, so you can't follow, so you have to really listen. And when you do, please make sure that you pay attention for these cues. Are you going to hear something twice? Are you going to, what is the topic? Pay attention to that. What is being said about that topic? Pay attention to that too. And listen, and then I will read it to you one more time, and then you will have a choice of finding the main idea. Okay, I hope you guys are ready. I'm going to be checking with you. Make sure you write your answer in the comments, whether you write it now or later. Okay, so there you go. It's my listening cue. Here is the first listening. Women are on the rise in Spanish politics. Spain's newly formed government consists of 11 women and 6 men. The newly elected socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has put women in some of the biggest positions in his cabinet, including head of defense, economy, education, and finance. Spain now has the highest proportion of women in top government position than anywhere else in Europe. In a televised statement, Mr. Sanchez said his new government consisted of people who want to move Spain forward. He said, all are highly qualified and bring a vocation for public service and reflect the best of Spain. They are open to the world but anchored in the European Union. Okay, how was that? So I'm going to read it one more time. That was our first listening. I'm going to read it one more time, but because I'm nice, I will give you the question. So I'm going to read it one more time and leave the question on the screen so you can actually see it while I read it. This makes things a little bit helpful. Okay, so here's your choice. Okay, is it A, Mr. Sanchez wants a new political position? Is it B, Mr. Sanchez appointed a majority of women in some of the highest positions of his cabinet? Or C, Mr. Sanchez wants Spain to leave the European Union? Okay, I'm reading it one more time. Women are on the rise in Spanish politics. Spain's newly formed government consists of 11 women and 6 men. The newly elected socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has put women in some of the biggest positions in his cabinet, including head of defense, economy, education, and finance. Spain now has the highest proportion of women in top government positions than anywhere else in Europe. In a televised statement, Mr. Sanchez said his new government consisted of people who wanted to move Spain forward. He said, all are highly qualified and bring a vocation for public service and reflect the best of Spain. They're open to the world, but anchored in the European Union. Okay. So those are, I hope that, I think this was a little bit easier because I let you guys cheat a little bit by looking at the text while I read it. So right now, please write down your answer. You can, of course, obviously write A, B, or C. It's probably the quickest way to do it. And if you're watching this later, write it down later, but please participate, write it down, because it helps you figure out if you got the right answer or not, which is really, really helpful. So hopefully here you are paying attention to the information that was being repeated, even if there were other words used, and also what was the topic about, okay? I threw some to try to throw you off track, but I think you guys, I see a lot of good answers. So yeah, you got it right. I see a lot of B's, and that is, of course, the right answer. Oops. Mr. Sanchez did appoint a majority of women in some of the highest positions of his cabinet. Now, you may have noticed that I've changed some of the wording because that is how main ideas work, and also how you will see these questions on standardized tests like the IELTS or the TOEFL. They will not give you the same words that they used in the text, of course. So you have to be able to recognize synonyms, and you have to be able to say the main idea in other words. Okay, that's very important. So those of you who got it, it is B. He does not want a new political position. That had nothing to do with it. And then I did mention the European Union, but he did not say that he wants Spain to leave the European Union. So you have to make sure. If you got it wrong, no worries. We have other practices, okay? They are coming up. So, oops. So a new one's coming up. I hope you're ready for this one. I think it's a little bit more challenging since you guys are doing so well. Here it goes. Earth is losing wildlife at a faster rate than any time in history. According to the new Living Planet report from the World Wildlife Fund, the global wildlife population shrank by 60% between 1970 and 2014. The WWF warned that Earth is losing biodiversity at a rate seen only during mass extinctions. Researchers state that most of the decline in our animal population is because of the exploding human consumption. There are more and more humans on this planet. We are eating more, overfishing, cutting down trees for beef production, consuming more, and using more energy and natural resources. This has resulted in a massive loss of habitat for animals. So I think this one was shorter, but the vocabulary was a little bit more difficult. Okay, so what I'm going to say, because again, I'm feeling nice, I'm going to give you a quick tip. Many times, the main idea is going to be, especially in English, this is not true for other languages, but just because of the nature of English, it's a very straightforward language. Many times the main idea is going to be in the first sentence. Many times it will, and that's my hint, okay? Now, like I said, I'm feeling nice, so I'm going to give you the questions to look at again, so you guys can follow as I read. Here are the questions. I'm not going to read them. Well, I will actually. So is it our planet is losing biodiversity at an incredibly fast rate? There are too many people on the planet, or humans are eating too many animals, okay? So while I read for the second time, make sure to try to follow what is the main idea. Here it goes. Earth is losing wildlife at a faster rate than any time in history. According to the new Living Planet report from the World Wildlife Fund, the global wildlife population shrank by 60% between 1970 and 2014. The WWF warned that Earth is losing biodiversity at a rate seen only during mass extinctions. Researchers state that most of the decline in our animal population is because of exploding human consumption. There are more and more humans on this planet. We are eating more, overfishing, cutting down trees for beef production, consuming more, and using more energy and natural resources. This has resulted in a massive loss of habitat for animals. Okay, now I've seen some answers there, some really good answers. I just wanted to, while you guys are writing them, again, now you can do it now or later. Also, for the people who are watching this later, there might be, just because some other answers are correct, doesn't mean that that is the main idea. So please make sure that the main idea is the most important idea, even though there could be other answers that are true. Okay, and that's another trick that they could throw at you when you take these standardized tests. They're asking you, pay attention to the question, right? What is the main idea? And I see a lot of really good answers. If you guys answered A, our planet is losing biodiversity at an incredibly fast rate, you are correct. It is also talking about how humans are eating too many animals. It didn't say that there are too many people on the planet, but it's inferred. Those are correct, but they're not the main idea. Okay, so hopefully you guys got it. Again, I use synonyms. Biodiversity, wildlife. Those are synonyms. So how are you guys doing? Show me with an emoji. Show me if you guys are doing well so far. Are you enjoying this? 'Cause it's about to get tough. I'm so excited. I love giving challenging questions to everyone. Okay, so here is the third one. I hope you are ready. For this one, by the way, I will not show you the questions. So you have to listen carefully each time. Okay. Scientists have revealed that air pollution may be responsible for a significant reduction in cognitive performance. Research conducted for the World Health Organization in China showed that the air pollution was responsible for notable falls in the students' test scores for language and arithmetic. The Chinese study is called The Impact of Exposure to Air Pollution on Cognitive Performance. The study took place over a period of 4 years. Researchers analyzed verbal and arithmetic tests taken by 20,000 people of all ages. Researchers discovered that the longer people were exposed to polluted air, the greater was the damage to their intelligence. For those aged over 60, this could be the equivalent of several years of lost education. So this one was slightly shorter, but I am making it more difficult by not giving you the question this time, okay? So you gotta listen to it one more time, pay attention to the cues, the topic, is the idea being repeated, what does the first sentence say, and so on. Listen, and I will read it one more time. Scientists have revealed that air pollution may be responsible for a significant reduction in cognitive performance. Research conducted for the World Health Organization in China showed that air pollution was responsible for notable falls in student test scores for languages and arithmetic. The Chinese study is called The Impact of Exposure to Air Pollution on Cognitive Performance. The study took place over a period of 4 years. Researchers analyzed verbal and arithmetic tests taken by 20,000 people of all ages. Researchers discovered that the longer people were exposed to polluted air, the greater was the damage to their intelligence. For those aged over 60, this could be the equivalent of several years of lost education. Okay, so here are the questions. So this is when you guys would write the answers down, A, B, or C. A states, is the main idea Chinese students took a large number of standardized tests on the drawbacks of air pollution? Is it B, air pollution causes respiratory issues in older populations? Or is it C, according to some studies, air pollution may be responsible for a significant reduction in intelligence? So which one is the main idea? I've thrown in a bunch of keywords here that showed up in the text, in the listening, I'm sorry. So hopefully you guys are able to kind of recognize those, and be able to write down what is the main idea based on those. Okay, so we have some C's. You guys are doing really well. And if you answered C, you are correct. According to some studies, air pollution may be responsible for a significant reduction in intelligence. So you guys are obviously not affected by air pollution because you are doing amazing. So good job. Give yourself, a clap, a pat on the back. And if you guys don't know, we are now on Patreon. So if you like what we do, please go ahead and follow us there because we have some really, really cool rewards. And if you like what we do, just click the link in the description. And the other thing I was going to say, because you guys have been doing so well, if you got these answers right, if you're doing really well, give this video a thumbs up, give it a like so I know if you got the answers right. Okay, but I see a lot of really good answers, so I think I'm going to see a lot of likes. And because I feel like maybe it's a little bit easy, maybe this was a little too easy for you guys. So for the next one, I will make it even harder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the listening this time, but I will not give you a choice of main idea. So for the next one, you have to come up with a main idea. So it means that you have to listen and write your own sentence that you think is most important. So this is not where you get to choose, you get to write it your own. So of course we're going to have some different answers. That's okay as long as the main idea is kind of similar. So your sentences may differ, but they shouldn't differ too much because there is one main idea. Okay? So pay attention, pay close attention. I'm going to read it 2 times, but there will be nothing on the screen to help you. Here it goes. Okay. Black Fly, a new airborne vehicle, was unveiled by maker Opener in California on Thursday. It is the brainchild of Google co-founder Larry Page, and it could go on sale next year. Blackfly's designers say it can travel for up to 40 kilometers at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. It will eventually cost the same as a typical sports utility car. Even though it will take to the skies, drivers or pilots will not need a pilot's license to get behind the controls. Critics say the term car is somewhat of a misnomer as it has no wheels and cannot be driven on roads. A more accurate description would be a person-carrying drone. The vehicle can only carry 1 person and is powered by 8 propellers, 4 at the front of the car and 4 at the back. Company CEO Marcus Lang said, Opener is re-energizing the art of flight with a safe and affordable flying vehicle that can free its operators from the everyday restrictions of ground transportation. Okay, so now we're getting into the future, kind of. So, again, pay attention. Here, I was trying to make it a little bit harder, so I did take out the first sentence. So if you're looking for that clue, it is not there, kind of. But the main idea is inside the text, okay? So, again, I will read it one more time, and what you have to do is write down the main idea. Again, this is going to be a full sentence. Write that down in the comments if you're watching us now or even later if you're looking at this later. Black Fly, a new airborne vehicle, was unveiled by maker Opener in California on Thursday. It is the brainchild of Google co-founder Larry Page, and it could go on sale next year. Blackfly's designers say that it can travel for up to 40 kilometers at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. It will eventually cost the same as a typical sports utility car. Even though it will take to the skies, drivers or pilots will not need a pilot's license to get behind the controls. Critics say the term car is somewhat of a misnomer as it has no wheels and cannot be driven on roads. A more accurate description would be a person-carrying drone. The vehicle can only carry one person and is powered by 8 propellers, 4 at the front of the car and 4 at the back. Company CEO Marcus Lenk said, Opener is re-energizing the art of flight with a safe and affordable flying vehicle that can free its operators from the everyday restrictions of ground transportation. Okay. So that is it. Right now, please write down your sentences which you think are the main idea. We might have some differing sentences. That's okay. I just want to see what you guys think is the main idea of the text. Okay. So I see some answers. Black fly is a new invented vehicle. Something about the advertisement and publicity, a black fly, one of the new vehicles, is amazing fast as a plane is, very safe. It's going to be something. It will be enabled in a few years and it will swap with the car. So the answer I have here, again, and your answers could say part of this answer or just some of it. Mine is kind of a broad main idea, and it says humanity is set to enter a new era of transport as a flying car could go on sale next year. So I would say the key words in the sentence are flying car and new different type of transportation, because that was mentioned a few times in the text. So yes, flying car is of course important, but new different type of transportation is also important, because obviously we haven't really had any flying cars so far. So it's more accessible. So you should have mentioned, I think, those two things. Now, if you mention anything about humanity or anything like that, that's not that important. But those two things you should have mentioned. Okay? I like how Wes is helping you guys out there. Yes. So so you guys did mention some really good ideas. It's like a drone. Again, keep in mind that in the main idea you do not need to mention details. So you don't need to mention any numbers or anything like propellers or anything like that. No details, just what is the main thing that somebody can get from the text in one sentence. Okay, so as you see, this got a little bit more difficult. We're going to do another one now, and it is similar. So I'm going to read you the text, and you have to give me the main idea. Again, the answers may differ, but pay attention to the information that is repeated more than once, because that is your clue right there. Here it goes. American Michelle Myers, 45, said that in 2015 she went to bed with a blinding headache and woke up with a British accent. The accent has remained with her ever since. She said, "It was hard because I was really struggling. I have come to terms with the fact that I might sound like this forever. I realize it's part of me now." Foreign accent syndrome, or FAS, is a disorder that typically occurs after strokes or traumatic brain injuries that damage the language center of our brain. It varies in the degree to which it affects someone's language and accent. The condition was first documented in 1907 by French neurologist Pierre Marie. It is a relatively rare condition, and only about 60 cases of FAS have been documented over the past century. One of these was a Japanese stroke patient who woke up sounding Korean, even though he had never been to Korea. Okay. So I'm going to read it just like last time one more time. As I'm reading it, I would maybe write down the main idea because, it will be fresh in your mind. American Michelle Myers, 45, said that in 2015 she went to bed with a blinding headache and woke up with a British accent. The accent has remained with her ever since. She said, "It was hard because I was really struggling. I've come to terms with the fact that I might sound like this forever. I realize it's part of me now." Foreign accent syndrome, or FAS, is a disorder that typically occurs after strokes or traumatic brain injuries that damage the language center of the brain. It varies in the degree to which it affects someone's language and accent. The condition was first documented in 1907 by French neurologist Pierre Marie. It is a relatively rare condition, and only about 60 cases of FAS have been documented over the past century. One of these was a Japanese stroke patient who woke up sounding Korean even though he had never been to Korea. Okay, so I see some answers over there that that are actually they're pretty good. Yeah, so you guys are getting them right. Yeah, so if you answered something like an American woman was diagnosed with a rare FAS, something like that, then you got it right. That it has something to do with that. So, or that American woman woke up with a British accent or anything like that, those would have been correct. Okay, so anything like that is correct. Again, I'm reading these. If you're finding these challenging, don't worry. This is why we're practicing. I'm reading these at a normal speed, and that's what makes it challenging, of course. And you don't have the text in front of you, but that is part of the exercise. It's a listening exercise, so that's why I'm doing this. But you guys are doing a great job. I'm seeing some really, really great answers. Okay. Here goes the next one. Okay, we just have I think this one, I don't know. I think it's equally challenging. So I'm going to read it and you guys can write down. I would suggest maybe listen the first time, just listen, and then the second time I read it, try to write the sentence. Here it goes. Alain Robert, 56, was handed a 20-week prison sentence on Friday and was suspended for 2 years for scrambling up London's 201-meter Heron Tower. Mr. Robert, dubbed the French Spider-Man, was also handed a $7,000 fine for disruption and for causing a large-scale emergency response. Hundreds of people stopped in the street to watch him climb the building, and the number of emergency services were called. Using his usual climbing method, Mr. Robert ascended the London Tower using only his bare hands. He never uses ropes or other safety equipment. He has been banned from climbing any building in the UK. Okay? He's been banned from climbing any building in the UK. Again, this one was shorter. I think it's a little bit easier actually, but again, while I say it, try to write the main idea. If you're finding this to go really fast, you can always pause it and listen to it again and then try to see if you get the main idea. Okay, here I'm going to read it one more time. Pay close attention. Alain Robert, 56, was handed a 20-week prison sentence on Friday and was suspended for 2 years for climbing up London's 201-meter Heron Tower. Mr. Robert, dubbed the French Spider-Man, was also handed a $7,000 fine for disruption and for causing a large-scale emergency response. Hundreds of people stopped in the street to watch him climb the building, and the number of emergency services were called. Using his usual climbing method, Mr. Robert ascended the London Tower using only his bare hands. He never uses ropes or other safety equipment. He has been banned from climbing any building in the UK. Okay, so I hope that you found this a little bit easier. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to write down the answers right now. So again, if you're watching it now, write down your comments right now with what you think is the main idea. If you're watching it later, write it down later, but write it down because it's a good practice. Again, you should be paying attention to information that was repeated or a way to summarize the entire conversation or the entire report. So I see some good answers. Robert was punished for climbing the London Tower. He was banned from climbing any building in the UK. some answers in French that I don't fully understand, but I kind of get the gist. Was climbing a ladder with bare hands. So these are I think you guys are getting some of the main ideas, some of the gist. So hopefully your answer looked similar to mine, which states that a French stuntman who specializes in scaling skyscrapers has been banned from climbing any building in the UK. Now, again, your answers could look a little bit different, but they should have the information that, you know, this climber person has been banned and cannot scale any more buildings in the UK, and that he's French, because I did mention that a couple times. So you could have called him the French Spider-Man. You could have used that into the description, into your main ideas. So you could have done any of that. I think overall you guys are really doing really well. You came up with really good sentences. Remember, they don't have to look exactly like mine, as long as they have those keywords that we're looking for. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our lesson. I hope you found it challenging, even if just a little bit, because I was trying to challenge you. And I hope that you found this useful. Remember, main ideas are very important. Everyone, we use them all the time, and listening practices are always a little bit difficult. So if you found it too difficult, don't worry. I would say listen to these again, and then just write it down later too, because this is how you practice. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this lesson, please like it, please share it with anyone who you think needs some extra listening practice. If you have any questions for us, write them down in the comments. We always answer. And also join us on Facebook, join us on Instagram, because we have some great other activities that we post on there. So thank you guys. I hope you have a great Saturday. And you know, I will see you guys next time. You guys rock, by the way. I've seen some wonderful answers. Thank you, Uyan. Thank you, Wodonos. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Avi. Thank you, Dimansan. Sandesh, Singh, Victor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are the best. And, you know, have a great day. Go enjoy yourself. You've studied some English. Reward yourself. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.